Hey guys, so we are going to go ahead. Hopefully, if you guys are cooking with me, you enjoyed the meal. Let me know if I should put like the meal plan up ahead of time. So that if you want to cook together, we can. Um, yeah. So really quickly, today we are going over mental health. It is BB Campbell's. Um, it's Bebe Moore Campbell's National Minority Mental Health Awareness. So, where first I kind of want to honor her. Today's conversations about what mental health looks like, why disparities exist, cultural stigma, and help seeking. Um, I guess culture, stigma, and help seeking, common mental health conditions, intersectionality and disability, work, youth, migration, and emergencies, and what communities can do. So, mental health matters. It influences our relationships, productivity, physical health. In today's fast paced world, mental health well being is more important than ever. And mental health for is refers to the emotional, psychological, and social well-being, and that's pretty much how we think, feel, cope, and function in the world, um, in both our intra and interpersonal relationships. It determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make decisions. And social, economic, cultural, environmental, and structural conditions can shape mental health well-being. So there's a lot of disparities in terms of mental health um, and the challenges to getting care. And those disparities can appear in access, use of services, diagnosis, quality of care, treatment, and outcomes. Equity asks whether people have a fair opportunity to obtain appropriate, respectful care, and that suicide is the fourth leading cause of death among young people ages 15 to 29. So barriers to mental health care include stigma and fear, providers shortages and transportation, cost and insurance gaps, languages and communication barriers, mistrust rooted in harmful experiences, unhealthy lifestyle, so lack of sleep, diet, digital overload, lack of culturally responsive or disability accessible care. And so, cultural stigma in health seeking culture can shape how distress is described, understood, and treated. Family, faith, community norms, and previous experiences may influence help seeking. Stigma can discourage disclosure or treatment, but culture can be a powerful source of resilience. So, anxiety and disorders can involve excessive fear and worry that interfere with daily life. And depression can involve persistent low mood or loss of interest or pleasure. And actually, in depression, if you've ever been to the primary, well, for one, if you go to the primary, they should technically once a year do a survey or a questionnaire on anxiety and depression. If they don't, like, it's a good thing to possibly look into them doing, and it's not long. It's fairly. It's just question, and sometimes you may not know, right? Like sometimes they're not going to straight up tell you that's what they're looking for. Um, but the questions kind of surround, like, maybe if someone's asking you about self-harm, if someone is asking you about your feelings and emotions within the last 7 days, within the last month. And so if you feel like you haven't been asked those questions and you want to be asked those questions, make sure you make that concern known, either before you even go into the appointment, um or if you're like in the appointment, just let the doctor know, like, this is something that you want to go over, because you are literally paying for it anyways, right? That's part of your wellness care. So symptoms may be expressed or recognized differently across people and cultures, and we see this often, um, in terms of people of color, and or individuals who are with varying abilities, right? Because sometimes culturally we were kind of programmed to not get um, our thoughts and um, our concerns answered, and so over time that leads to some type of suppression, and so you want to be cognizant of that if you're a healthcare provider, if you're a person of color or a person of um, with a varying ability. So, and really, like, what you'll find is that you're not, well, okay, people are looking for, in the healthcare field, sometimes people are looking for certain attributes, or they're looking for certain characteristics to say this is the thing, but it's only a snapshot in time, right? It's only for 15 minutes, and they see you, maybe if you're super sick, they'll see you more often. If you're coming in maybe once or twice a year, that's the extent that they know you, right? And so it's kind of hard to diagnose someone in those, in if you've gone and looked at some of my other stuff, like, you'll know that's like the bane of my existence. I That is something that I do not like in healthcare. But it's important to know that they're only getting a small snapshot in time of you, and they don't know all of the other things that are going on with you. So if you find that there's something that you're concerned about, it could be the most minute thing. Go talk to someone about it, a medical professional. And I'll probably tag a few that are in my area. Um, yeah, I'll tag a few that are in my area. And so, yeah, there's a lot of ways in which people show their anxiety and depression. I know for me, when I was younger, oftentimes it looked like maybe overeating, like stress eating, or um, that was the main thing. I'm just not a talker, and I think that's also why we'll get to that part, like, how you can find healthy outlets. And again, this is like a really big overview, so please, 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 if there's like something that you're like, oh, like, can we get more of that part of it, um feel free to just like message me, ask your questions. It's only me responding, so I am more than happy to answer your questions. um all right, so that's that. Oh, actually, that wasn't that. So really quickly, So I wanted to open up with this one.
A strong black woman out of a necessity, a hyper independent, strong black woman who, as long as I can find the wheel, I'm always going to figure out a way. I have really mastered navigating through life solo dolo. And when things get rough, baby, I will isolate. I will log out everything. And if you don't check up on me, cool. I'm not tripping because that just validates where you stand in my life, in my reality. So it's not a loss on my end. And we all know I'm very open about me being thrown off. Bitch, I am a sad bitch. These people tell me I got depression, and I'm not gonna deny it to them because life be life in it, baby. All of us don't have the luxury of having support. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. So now that I call myself liking somebody and trying to like somebody in a healthy manner, I done found myself depressed and feeling just stressed out with my regular stressors. But here I am. I got two choices. Am I going to shut down and run, or give a unconventional solution for my own comfort so I don't have to put myself in an uncomfortable position in order to experience growth? Mm-hmm. So I started to go that direction, and then it was completely shut down, and I had to completely sit back and ask myself, do I want to handle this as an, a mature adult that understands that although I am a strong black woman out of a necessity to survive because I don't have the luxury to sit down, be still, and be sad? Or am I going to accept the fact that I do deserve to live a soft girl era in a peaceful era? But that's going to require work. Mm-hmm. I swallowed my pride, girl, and the girl was just boo-hooing. I felt weak because I was boo-hooing, and I'm really just a strong motherfucking black woman. But sometimes, bitch, you just need to boo-hoo and be like, look, this is what I'm going through, and I'm used to going through this shit by myself, but I really like you, and I don't want to have a fucked up attitude with you, and you be thinking it's you, and the whole time, no, it's just me because I'm just so used to navigating life and just dealing with this fucked up shit in silence and still smiling and still looking cute and still showing up and still clocking in and still doing doubles and still showing up. But girl, that's all I wanted to say. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It feels good to be seen, heard, validated, and just feeling secure. Lord have mercy. That's it. That's all. Bye. Bye.
So I'm gonna add all of the videos. That's something I'm working on because sometimes I'll just exit out and forget. But I'm gonna add all the videos at the bottom. So yeah.
A lot of times, no matter how
Whoops,
much
sorry, my bad.
I know it's hella weird documenting crying, but I wanted to share the fact that like clinical depression is hard. Like the last week I've been battling depression. And it's so crazy because like everybody's like, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And in my mind, I'm like, nothing but everything. Like the simplest things is like I've been so like on a chemical level, just depressed, and it's just like no matter what I do, it's like the simplest things. Like, like this morning, my friend sent me a voice message, and just hearing her voice this morning, like I'm overcome with like emotion, and it's like I'm hold up. And I know it's like hella fucking weird to be on the camera, uh, but it's just like me battling depression, battling anxiety, PTSD. It's been so challenging because a lot of times, no matter how much I encourage myself, I do the things that consistently make me feel good on a interpersonal like kind of level. I can't I can't shake it sometimes. So it's like obviously me leaving my daughter and coming to Florida for these work trips sometimes can be really make me super sad because it's just like she's sad and it just hurt us. So but this is my first day waking up. Firstly being in a space of like being depressed and not really being able to explain it because there's just so much going on. And it's just I've been suffering from anxiety and depression for a long time, and it went undiagnosed for years. I've always been a super anxious person. I've always suffered through really low lows throughout all my life. Like it started when I was a teenager, but it just got a little worse the older I got. And it got to the point where it was like I felt it, and people around me noticed it. So that's when I started seeing a therapist and got a psychiatrist, and it was this whole fucking thing. But what I started to realize is that is something that firstly I can't control it. Like there's certain things that I can do to improve my depression, but the reality is that like it is what it is. So a lot of times I have to encourage myself. A lot of times I just have to think about something else and move past it. But when I say to you, some days are fucking hard. Like this morning, like as somebody who given my femininity and I was trying to be this hard ass for a long time, and crying just wasn't something that I did. But now the older I am, the more I'm healing, the more I'm realizing, and it's like I'm not this little thug. I'm not a fucking baby thug by any means. Like I'm emotional and I know it. And so now I'm to the point where I allow myself the freedom to just express myself however it is. It's just hard sometimes because it's like, I don't know, like just then, I don't know why the fuck I was crying, but I needed to allow myself to do it. But I decided to get on here to talk to you guys and share with you the fact that like depression looks different for everybody. And know that like if you have someone in your life that's going through it, the best thing you could do is just love them and be there with them, because sometimes it can't be easily explained. Seriously. I know it's hella weird documenting crying, but I wanted to
Sorry,
share
guys, I
the
didn't
fact that
realize
like
that it was.
clinical depression is hard. Like the last week I've been battling depression. And it's so crazy because like everybody's like, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And in my mind, I'm like, nothing but
And I think it's important for us to understand, like, especially in our culture in the United States, how much we are, as women in general, are a lot is placed on us to do all the things, make sure that we maintain the home and, maintain the kids and, maintain everybody's emotions, including your partner. And so I think it's important to kind of remember that, especially for Black women, as both of them were kind of discussing, like always being a superhero, always trying to pretend like everything is okay. Um, and and being and mothering everybody, even when you did not give birth to this person. So just remembering like it's important to like take all of, give yourself grace and space to do all of the things and to fill your cup as well. And then like there's a lot of context to what the I think her name's like MVD. She was talking about the hypervigilance, and a lot of that has to do with PTSD that I don't even think that us within communities of color fully understand the inherent PTSD that I think we all like have to deal with. But then as a woman to have to always be on high alert, and sometimes like the other girl said, she trying to see what her name was. Pinky Sticks is her name. And so I think I lost my thought. What did she say that I was going to mention? Totes forgot. Never minds. Um, yeah, I lost that thought. Oh, I know it was. She was talking about one of them was talking about no, it was in VD. She was talking about not having the community that she needs. And I think that's also important that sometimes we kind of lose ourselves in responsibilities so much so that we don't have community anymore, and not understanding how to create community when we are somewhere else. So that's always challenging, and kind of challenging then also on the flip side of that with loss. But that's a whole other topic. So leave it there. All right.
With um, anxiety and ADHD and stuff, specifically anxiety, what medication they got y'all on? Because I'm new to this and I just got prescribed my medicine, and I just want to know what y'all taking, what it make y'all feel like, what differences does it make for you, and what was it like the first 30 days of you taking it? Drop it down in the comments because I need to know what to prepare for, sister. Thank you.
So I didn't get to look and see like what was the outcome for her. This was actually a long time ago. I probably will. There's a lot of side effects associated with medications, antidepressants, and antipsychotics, because we'll go over that briefly as well. And I think what's important to remember is you are the patient. However, there are some ramifications to not taking those medications, right? I think in the here and now, like even with me, I consider going on stimulants, and it was actually a physician, not my physician, but like a physician that kind of hinted that maybe I need a stimulant. Um, but and then there's stigma surrounding taking medications and medication adherence, especially mental health medication adherence, especially when you're talking about being in um, a field that does not allow you to, that looks down upon taking medications for mental health. And I think I've touched upon that too. But, or even on the flip side of that, taking just mental health days and time for yourself, right? Um, and so to her point, she's talking about what to expect. I think that is something that's important, and maybe I will do a whole video on that, because it is important. I don't think we do enough education and awareness towards the medications that are given, and then when people have side effects, they'll, like, people do it with like diabetic medications, but not so much with mental health. And I don't know if that's because people are like, not people, but medical professionals are kind of concerned about like, oh, I don't want this person to say no to this or whatever. And you have to understand there's a certain amount of medications, and the amount that you get, you really have to be fully invested in terms of medications, because, and this is all medications across the board, sometimes those medications have to be kind of moved around, and you kind of have to figure it out so that you kind of understand like, okay, this dosage doesn't work for this person. And there is like, that's a whole other conversation, but there are some physiological differences, not black person to white person, but just or person of color to white person, but like just in general, there are physiological differences sometimes, genetically, and people have to consider that, and they have to give some time for the medications to work. So if that is something that you so choose to do, then I would caution that, right? Because I think oftentimes what happens is that people come in and they want to take these medications, but they're not working fast enough for them, or on the flip side of that, they're getting these side effects that they absolutely do not want, that they absolutely cannot manage, right? But then the reality of it is that medicine is an art. It has its own way of art form. And no, we don't want to be guinea pigs. I think I selected a video, and she kind of said that is like, I do not want to be a guinea pig. And so sometimes we have to, if we're looking for a remedy, and part of that is medication therapy, because there's different modalities that you can utilize. I think we have to be cognizant of saying that, okay, if this is the if this is a therapy that I'm going to try, let me give it a solid couple of months before I say absolutely this is not working for me. So just keep that in mind. And maybe what I can do is, I will be like bringing a few of my friends who just happen to be physicians, on, and some other physicians that I know, to kind of discuss that, if they feel comfortable, just on like side effects and stuff like that. But the side effects, they can be kind of gnarly for some people, and I would say if you are feeling those side effects, to communicate that. I think that's another part of the suppression that we go through as people of color. We just assume that, okay, this medication, this is what the doctor told me to take, and this is the plan of action or course of action. And really, there's so many other things that they can do if you just communicate that with them, and let them know, like, okay, this is not working. Maybe we can, figure out another plan. And maybe it might be another medication. It might be that they just need to take you down. So definitely, when you get a physician especially a good physician, have that conversation with them. And I know, like, going for before we were talking about how one of the barriers um, to treatment is really not having access to care, whether that's you're in a rural area, whether you are um, having transportation issues. I think all of those things kind of can limit you even on the type of providers that you receive. So just also be cognizant and weary of like what your actual plan entails as well. And if you're comfortable with possibly having a doctor that maybe you don't see all the time. I know there's different things that people are trying in terms of like medical models and how you are being delivered care. So just be cognizant of that and what's in your actual insurance plan.
Like, I don't have any friends. Nobody asked me to go anywhere. And then I get invited to things and I don't want to go. I be tired. It's emotionally draining. Guys, why am I like this? I need friends. You need a social life. You need balance. You have to go support those friends. You have to show up for people who show up for you. But I be tired. I just really, really love the safety of my bed. I love my bed. I'm constantly like,
So she kind of reminds me of me. Like that's definitely something that I would say. Like I know I need community, but also I'm quite comfortable. And that's something that I think during COVID, I realized like, oh wait, I'm actually okay being to myself, especially during COVID. I think I knew that beforehand, but like, especially during COVID. But then I do have my own sense of community, whether that's online or in person. Excuse me. So I think if you're not someone who wants to go out, at minimum, try and have find a commonality or find a group that you can join that will be fun and you guys can talk. And the cool thing about that is um people notice when you're not there, even online. I know it sounds really weird, but like people notice when you maybe don't show up online or um, you're not maybe playing a game the same way you usually play. So like I think we kind of discount social groups that are online, but I think if done correctly it can be helpful as well. But yes, like that is something that I'm working on as well. As she says, I need to not be as comfortable at home chilling. But um yeah, so make sure you do have that social outlet, that community outlet, um and so that you can kind of get outside of your thoughts, um be able to like meditate. I think one of the content creators was talking about like not having the quiet time to be sad. And I think that's also a very important thing to think about, is like you wanting to take that space for yourself when you're feeling the emotions, um, to slow down and feel them. And I think that's also really hard for someone who's neurodivergent like me. Like it's very challenging to say like, okay, this thing happened to me, and it was very, very painful and traumatic. And so just being cognizant that you have to take that time and space for yourself to kind of be able to cope. I think maybe I haven't put it out yet, so I won't say that. I always say that I'm like, oh, actually, I didn't put that out. All right. So, Bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Bipolar disorder involves significant mood episodes that can affect energy, activity, and function. And schizophrenia can affect perception, thinking, behavior, and functioning. Stigma and stereotypes can create additional barriers beyond symptoms. And so let's watch this one.
To my childhood, I would definitely say that I had some mental health and emotional issues that I was keeping private. By the time I was about 11, 12 years old, I already was engaging in self-harm. And by the time I was 16, I was already having issues with eating. And it was 100% linked to the abuse that I was experiencing as a child and also just the unsafe environment I was in. I definitely became a perfectionist, doing my best to stay focused in school, trying to have the best grades. Then once I started making content, I really put so much energy into that. So staying busy definitely helped with those self-destructive behaviors. About 2021, your girl started to break down. I think once we were all stuck inside of our homes, it gave me time to think about things that I had pushed off for so long. Everything just started to catch up to me. Started experiencing flashbacks, nightmares, just dissociate often, cry all the time, and panic attacks, just trying to fix things by myself and just keep it together as much as I could. That wasn't working anymore. Once I started therapy the first time and really was able to just unpack all the things that happened, my mental health started to get worse. My therapist gently recommended me seeing a psychiatrist. I was able to find a psych nurse practitioner. She had decided to start me on antidepressants, also given a medication to help sleep because I was not sleeping. I was just very obsessive where I was doing a million things at once, and I definitely had the tendency to talk really fast. My brain was just moving so fast. We found that the antidepressant was making those crazy symptoms worse. That's when we decided to put me on mood stabilizers, especially because bipolar disorder does run in my family. I still hadn't gotten a blanket diagnosis. The summer of 2023, I had to start seeing a new psychiatrist. The psychiatrist at that time decided to put me on Effexor, which is an antidepressant. I did feel so much better. I felt alive again. At the same time, I had straight up stopped eating. I could not stop moving, walking super duper fast. I was hallucinating, really intense thoughts of ideation of unaliving myself. But I did decide to call my therapist. I need you to call your mom so she can take you to the hospital. So the psychiatrist came in the morning. She explained to me that sometimes when bipolar patients are put on an antidepressant, it can sometimes increase their manic-like symptoms. Then I was transferred from the psych ER to legit psychiatric hospital. There for a little over a week. I remember getting discharged and going into the social worker's office, and on the table there are 3 packets. Here's how to deal with bipolar disorder, PTSD, with general anxiety disorder. So that is my story on how I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I know that there's a lot of people who feel like something's off with them, but they're not sure if they should get help. My advice is definitely to get help, even if you're unsure, because I had tried to deal with my problems by myself for so long. I almost didn't make it. Okay, love you. Bye. I have bipolar disorder, and here's how I got diagnosed. So reflecting onto my childhood, I would definitely say that I had some mental health and emotional issues that I was keeping private. By the
manic episode, I just knew I was going to be the next big rapper in Augusta. And y'all, I just knew I was going to make it. So here's everything I did. I booked the studio session and I went there and I made this really out-of-pocket song. And while I was there, I recorded this music video. Y'all, what I had on was ridiculous. So after I recorded the song and everything, I decided to take it home, and I was like, I'm gonna make a new TikTok account. Because through therapy, we explored the fact that I always make new social media accounts when I'm manic. Y'all, I was on that page freestyling, rapping, singing, dancing till 3 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. I thought that I was just everything, y'all. I just couldn't nobody tell me nothing. And the whole time, I didn't recognize that I was in mania. That's why it's so important to talk about it. Somebody might think they're just in a great elevated mood, dancing around, don't have an appetite, they're losing weight, and they think they're just great. But really, you might be bipolar, baby. And that's why I'm so open about my issues, because I want other people to realize that mental health matters. Back to my mania. Like when I'm manic, I adopt a whole nother personality, which is why I just be out here tripping, y'all. That's all it is. I'm out here manic and tripping. This is not the first time I've been manic to the point where I was just outside embarrassing myself. There's 2 other distinct times where I can identify my mania was just off the charts and ridiculous. I will never go into detail about that, ever. Y'all, my therapist knows me so well. She knew I was manic and I didn't. And yes, my medication did get increased, y'all. Let me tell you about my last bipolar manic episode. Y'all, I just knew I was gonna be the next big rapper in Augusta. And y'all, I just knew I was gonna make it. So here's everything I did.
Want to say I dropped a new song on my first single called Lullabies. It's given. I hear voices, and today I'm going to record what my voices say to me throughout the day. For those that are new here, my name is Kyla Kwame. I'm 24 and I was abused as a baby. My bones have been broken, I've been strangled, I've been drowned, I've been choked, I've been burnt. I'm under the age of 5 years old. And as a result of that abuse, I hear voices say as an adult, and I also have tactile hallucinations, which means I also feel things. I hear and I feel things, all hallucination wise. Starting from number one, the first hallucination of the day is special delivery. Now, I usually hear I have an urgent message for you, or I have a birthday present for you, but today I heard I have a special delivery for you. Now, I don't pay attention to any of these voices because a special delivery never pops up. A birthday present never pops up. My birthday's in June, so a birthday present today would make no sense. It's just a hallucination, so nothing really happens after I hear it. I just like to record it today, that's all.
Second hallucination of the day. I was about to take a nap and I keep hearing Kayana, Kayana, Kayana. That's my name, mind you. Somebody keeps calling my name. I'm trying to sleep. Second hallucination of the day. I do not know how to interpret that. Maybe someone wants my attention. I don't know. I ignore it and I'm just gonna fall asleep. Even though they keep calling my name, I'm gonna fall asleep regardless. Number 3. You're stupid. I've actually never heard this one before. Today's the first time I've actually heard you're stupid. So yeah, we're putting this one on the list. You're stupid. And I don't know how to interpret this one because I didn't say anything dumb was eating my empanada. And I just got called stupid for some fucking strange reason. No clue. Number 4. You have to understand that. Mad random, no contacts. I just got done using the bathroom. I just heard you have to understand that. Number 5. The universe. I just heard the universe. Now I interpret this as the universe is talking to you, or like God is talking to you, but no one's talking to me. Like I said, it's just a freaking hallucination. I'm gonna end the video here. It's time for bed now. But before I go to sleep, I want to say I dropped a new song on my first single called Lullabies. It's given like Tenacion, it's kind of sad girl vibes, but you know, for girls who have been abused and traumatized like me, it's for you. It's for you, baby. It's for you. It's for you. Here's a little snippet. Baby's eyes were watching while she held on to her favorite blanket. The baby's eyes watched while she grew trauma and she didn't even know it was lullabies. Lullabies.
All right. So as you can see, it seems, well, not it seems like, but both bipolar and schizophrenia can show up in different ways. And you just really kind of never know. But that's why it's important to know your family history and make sure that you are cognizant of um, and aware that, you know, maybe there was someone in your background that had bipolar or schizophrenia. Oftentimes with schizophrenia, at least, I'm not going to say oftentimes, I don't want to make that blanket statement. The people that I know who have schizophrenia, it was found in a manner in which they had an incident and then they found out they were schizophrenic. Or, well, actually, just a few. But yeah, so just, I say that to say, one of the things, because I saw this online about someone was talking about, and I meant to screenshot it, but like essentially like how, was it schizophrenia? Something about abuse, substance abuse and schizophrenia. Now, okay, here's the thing. There is literature that does say that you have a higher likelihood to have a substance abuse disorder when you have something like bipolar or schizophrenia. But I'm not gonna talk on the thing that I saw because now I can't remember how it read. I just knew it was inaccurate and I was like, but gosh, I wish I remember. I'll hold off on that and pick it back up some other time. But so yeah, so it presents differently, and I think one of the many things to consider is how it presents to individuals that are in the medical field. Again, because you're looking for one particular thing, but really the way someone presents is based on their past experiences, right? Like if they've been told over and over again that, oh, this particular behavior is wrong, and they're going to respond to that over time. And over time, they're going to decide that, oh, okay, well, if I hide this, that's a good thing, if that makes sense. So over time, you learn to just hide the little smaller things in yourself, and just move around the world like that, right? Which is a stressor all in of itself. And so let's see. So that brings us to talking about trauma and PTSD, which we kind of touched upon earlier. PTSD may develop after exposure to extremely threatening or horrific events. Trauma can be individual, interpersonal, community-wide, or connected to emergencies and displacement. Not everyone exposed to trauma develops PTSD. And so it's important to recognize, especially with individuals with a mental health disorder, they're at a higher chance of experiencing PTSD, just going through the different systems. Mental health and disability. Mental health and disability and mental health can intersect in many different ways. Accessibility includes physical, sensory, cognitive, and communication, attitudinal access, diagnostic overshadowing, like biases in accessible services and fragmented care can affect outcomes. And I'm not sure why I didn't put a slide in here. Actually, let me just. Okay, yeah, it doesn't really. So especially when you're neurodivergent, which I think bipolar and schizophrenia falls under neurodivergent. I have autism and ADHD. One of the things that I found is, for instance, like, well, of course in America, but like the services that you receive may not be on par with what you need. And then sometimes the therapeutic modalities that you may want may not be available to you as well. For instance, and this is, I guess it's not part of my story, but this is just adjacent, but like, you know, a part of mental health, right, is the fact that sometimes your physical health deteriorates as well. And so when that happens, it's like it's a snowball effect of, okay, well, now maybe you can't eat very well because your teeth are messed up, or housing, maybe your housing is crap, like roaches and mold cause and exacerbates mental health issues. Not necessarily the roaches in and of itself, but like, you know, what their excretions cause issues. So, and that's something that actually happened with my family and with my sister and us trying to get the bathroom fixed. The gentleman who was not qualified to do the work messed up our bathroom, messed up our piping, messed up my mom's side of the house. And so like there's like a lot of mistrust, right? Because like then you think about all the trust that I had to have, or we had to have in that person and in the government to actually do that work, right? So for you to come in here, and there's, you know, 3 women in here, and there is and you're a grown man, and you, because you messed up and you did all these things, like that may have been, well, that was illegal, right? Like there's now some mistrust in, you know, I don't want you to come in here. That might mean that I might not trust. I mean, from a bigger standpoint, may not mean that I may not trust other people, other government employees adjacently, right? And that's how PTSD, like that's part of PTSD. It may not be a direct association. It could be adjacently associated, like because this person did A, then I may, you know, may not want to interact with anyone from that, you know, space, I guess. Because there's already a mental health issue. And then also remembering that I've had other experiences, which you can call a bias as well, but like I've had, you know, people have had other experiences moving forward. I mean, previous to that or prior to that, which leads them to the decision making that they make in that moment. And so I will say like that whole like the situation with the bathroom was very traumatic for me. and then compounding that on to finding out my own diagnosis and then having to go back and recognize like, okay, all like kind of retelling and rehashing my own life, reshaping my own life. I stole that from someone, but reshaping my narrative surrounding things. And luckily, like, again, the call didn't come from inside the house in terms of like other traumas. A lot of my trauma came from outside the house, right? And so kind of navigating all of that as well. So there's a lot of, and this is, like I said, a larger story, but like also witnessing medical injustices and medical negligence, or what I would deem medical negligence, within seeing my grandmother, and essentially asking for assistance, and the doctor not really even wanting to use his noggin to come up with like even try and figure it out, right? So I think that we sometimes we adjacently, and I don't even know if that's adjacently, that could still be considered a direct way of being traumatized. And when you think about that and the impact of someone who inherently already has a mental health issue, yes, there is a genetic component to it, but then all of the things that happen within that person's life also shapes how they react to that trauma, and how they go through and experience it. So that's just something to think about, especially if you're not just a medical professional, but in social services, psychological services is just something to think about. And I'm kind of sketching that out as well, working on a documentary, and I will have a link to if you can donate for that, and then also to take advocates to both DC and Tallahassee. So I will have a link for that, and then also because we need to fix our bathroom, I will have a link for that as well. So if there is anything that you really would like to donate or feel led to help with, all of that will be in my link tree. And yeah, in my link tree. So intersectionality matters, and I did not highlight it, and I have two other, because I was supposed to be doing a whole thing, but you guys know me, I'm still working out the kinks, I promise. But I did a talk with my mom. We watched a video, and we'll probably be doing more of that. So that is coming soon, but I'm going to put that up. And then also I did a talk with my friend Shane, and that should already be up. And so I will link that down below as well. He also has autism, and we discuss intersectionality in terms of disability and LGBTQ matters. And then I did another one with my friend Ed, and I still have to put that up as well. I have been having some serious issues with my computer. So yeah. So according to WHO, reports that 1 in 7 people ages 10 to 19 globally experience a mental disorder. I think that's underreported for sure. Again, like I said, when you don't know what a thing is, sometimes it's hard to be like, oh yeah, I have this. And then also accessibility to even do research is challenging as well. Depression, anxiety, and behavior disorders are major causes of illness and disability among adolescents. Early support should be accessible, culturally responsive, family aware, and youth oriented. So mental health at work. Work can support well-being through purpose, income, connection, and routine, but harmful conditions can undermine mental health. Discrimination, harassment, insecurity, excessive workloads, lack of accommodations can increase risk. Healthy workplaces require prevention, support, inclusion, and reasonable accommodations. And I think I kind of went through a timeline of my own work history and all the issues that I had looking back and the lack of accessibility that I had. So if you want to look at that, I will also try and link that below as well. But a lot of it had to do with sensory overload, and then also with, again, interpersonal communication. As someone who has PDA, I feel like a lot of times I would often feel triggered because I felt like people were kind of challenging me. And so that's a whole other issue. But then also on the flip side of that, I do discuss some of the things that in some of the accommodations that I feel like I just naturally requested and I received, right? So finding a place that is open to communication and open to accommodations. I did see another young lady who was autistic, and she was discussing navigating that space as well. Sorry, guys. So migration itself is not a mental illness. Conflict, loss, violence, uncertainty, discrimination, isolation, and barriers to services can affect mental health. WHO notes elevated risk for some conditions among refugees and migrant populations. Protective factors include community connections, safety, social inclusion, accessible care. So my comment to that is because, I'm of immigrant roots, right? My grandfather is from Anguilla. My grandmother is from the islands as well. Well, both of them are Caribbean. And so, that is something that is important to me. I have a lot of friends who are immigrants, but I think that when we talk about these stories, like what escapes us is like, it's so easy for us to think like, oh, okay, it's a hop and a skip, but like some people are like in dire straits, like they're literally swimming over here, or they're taking a small behind boat with the hope of getting here. They're meeting people who are shady as heck. They're going off of barely any food because there's like a bunch of people on the same boat or something like that. So lack of food, lack of water, and then with the hopes of being accepted wherever they get to, right? And one of the things, and one of my biggest concerns is with all of the policies that are going on right now, just how many people are not looking for the care that they need, right? At the end of the day, we are human. And so I can't imagine someone deciding that my grandfather or my nana was not worthy of care just because of where they came from. And that goes for a lot of my family. And not only that, but like what our immigrant community brings to the table in terms of everything from medical to technology to the service industry. And so being cognizant and aware of all of that, and making sure that we are treating everybody humanely, just from a human standpoint, not necessarily like, oh, are you American? Like, that's cute, but the reality is like America was built off the backs of immigrants. So like, let's chill. Um so mental health. Emergencies can increase distress and mental health needs while disrupting existing support systems. Community-based psychosocial support should be integrated into emergency response. Responses should consider language, culture, disability, access, displacement, and continuity of care. I think that kind of wraps it up pretty well, because we find, again, depending on where you are, your location, when you're being arrested or shot at, just trying to get medical care, that is a barrier to care. And then inaccessibility in terms of languages, and not understanding a culture and what might be important to this person versus another is a barrier to care as well. So just being cognizant of that. So I'm going to go through 2 more slides. Suicide prevention, community responsibility. Suicide is a serious global public health issue. Risk is shaped by multiple individual, relational, community, and societal factors. Prevention includes reducing stigma, improving access to care, strengthening connection, and responding to warning signs. Ask directly and compassionately when you are concerned. Connect people with appropriate immediate support. And we kind of talked about this, cultural competence to responsive care, listen before assuming, use qualified language, access and accessibility, communication, respect cultural beliefs while offering evidence-informed choices, include community voices in program design, recognize and address bias, make services physically and financially and digitally accessible. And lastly, normalize conversations about mental health. I think, again, this is something where you have to go into the community and talk to individuals wherever you can kind of meet them, and challenge stereotypes and stigmatizing language. Learn how culture and identity shape, not determine experience. Support culturally responsive and accessible services. Advocate for affordable community-based care. Check in, listen, and connect people with appropriate support. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, I will kind of do a deeper dive. I just, it's already July 21st and I really wanted to put something out. So, but I will do a deeper dive because there are so many other mental health disorders. And I think one thing that I've noticed in like just watching videos and stuff is like recognizing when in particular a transition happens, especially in a woman's life, because socially we tend to normalize being silenced and siloed. And so I really hope that you got like from some of the stories that, like, you know, sometimes it could be a bad relationship that's a trigger. Sometimes it's substance abuse. Sometimes it is college. I know for me that was a hard moment as well for me. So just being cognizant of when someone is transitioning. It may be a small transition for someone who might be neurotypical or may not have like a mental health disorder, but like for someone else, like maybe that might be the smallest thing, the smallest change might be like a lot. So I hope that was helpful. Please, if you want to add any questions at the bottom, or if you want to email me, the email will be there. And I will also add all of the other stuff. All right. Until next time, see you guys later.